What's up, guys? Hockey TikTok is back with another video. Today, I'm going to be doing my letter grades for all 32 NHL teams, Pacific Division. So this is part 4 of the series where I've been grading the teams based off their performance at the halfway point of the season. So, the way it works is I'm going to give a grade based off of how the team was expected to perform this year, and then sort of give my reasonings for how it ended up that way. So let's get it started with the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm giving them an A+ for their efforts so far at the halfway point of the season, because Vegas is leading the division, and they look like a contender so far this season. The Vegas won the Stanley Cup 2 years ago, and at this point they look like they're back in the hunt again. If they perform in the second half of the season as they have so far, they should finish at the top of the division and maybe even at the top of the Western Conference. So A+ for effort so far, A for their performance, and they're doing just great. So that's where we start things off. On the other end of the spectrum, I'm going to go to San Jose. San Jose is at the bottom of the league, bottom of the division, bottom of the conference right now. One of the lowest ranked teams overall. However, they were never really expected to do that well this season. So I'm going to give them a B so far for their effort, because I don't think anybody expected much out of the San Jose Sharks coming into this season. So with that being said, they do have a lot of bright young players. Celebrini is one of the top rookies so far of the season, and he was the first overall pick from the draft the year before. So in a few years, San Jose might be a playoff team, but as of this moment today, they don't look like they are, and they probably won't be anytime soon. So that's why I'm going to give them a B so far for the season. Then let's move on to the Edmonton Oilers. So Oilers started off the season pretty badly. They were struggling quite a bit right off the beginning of the season, right out the gates. If you guys recall last year, they were in a similar boat where they had a really tough start to the season, but then had an incredible run where they pulled themselves all the way back up into the playoff picture and ended up continuing that momentum en route to the Stanley Cup final. This year, they started off not quite as poorly, but also had a bit of a rough start, but have been playing a lot better as of late, and are back in contention for the playoffs at the halfway point of the season. In fact, they're fighting for a divisional playoff spot with the Los Angeles Kings, and potentially they could even still catch Vegas Golden Knights. So for that, I'm going to give the Oilers a B+ for their effort so far. If they could overtake Vegas in the standings by the end of this season, I would give them an A or an A+. But right now, I'm just going to give them a B+ for their effort so far, because they're not quite at the level that I think a lot of people would be expecting, considering that they were just one win away from winning the Stanley Cup last season. Next, we're going to do Seattle Kraken. Seattle, I'm going to give an F to, because I think Seattle is one of those teams that has always had high expectations, and a lot of it might have been a mistake due to the fact that when they joined the league, they were a brand new expansion team, and they were kind of always living in the shadow of the Vegas Golden Knights because of how strong Vegas was in their first year as a team. So I think the unfortunate thing is they were trying to live up to the expectation that Seattle would be a powerhouse team to start their season as well. And so far, things have not gone well for Seattle. They had one good season since they joined the league, and then every other season has, in my opinion, been pretty much a disaster. They're probably going to miss the playoffs again. They don't really have any bright spots that I can think of that would give them anything more than a failing grade. So I'm giving Seattle Kraken an F for their effort so far at the beginning of the season. Next, we have the LA Kings. LA, I'm giving an A to because LA is one of those teams that has been a perennial playoff team the last few years, but they have struggled to get past Edmonton in the playoffs. And so far, for the first half of this season, I think a lot of people expected LA to fall off. I think a lot of people expected them to struggle and move down the standings. And yet they're right there amongst the top teams in the Pacific Division once again. So LA gets an A so far for their season. Next, we have the Vancouver Canucks. I give a D -2, if that's even possible, because Vancouver was such a strong team last year. In fact, you know what? I'm not even going to give them a D-. I'm going to give them an F because how strong Vancouver was last season. They were one win away from beating Edmonton, who were an eventual Stanley Cup finalist. And I think with how they finished in the regular season last year, the expectation on them was nothing short of course, a playoff spot, but even a divisional playoff spot. And at this point, halfway through the regular season, they're at risk of missing altogether. They're barely hanging on to a wild card spot. And with the amount of problems that Vancouver Canucks have in their dressing room between JT Miller and Elias Pettersson, means that Vancouver is really underperforming, in my opinion. And that's why they get an F. Vancouver Canucks are an F, a fail of a team so far at the beginning of this season for the first half. Next, we have the Anaheim Ducks. I'm going to give them a D because the Ducks, they have been sort of struggling and middling along for a while, sort of as the San Jose Sharks have, but they haven't quite been as bad as the Sharks, but they don't show any signs of improvement either. So that's why I gave the Sharks a passing grade. I gave them a B because I think the Sharks were trying to be bad so they can draft high and get good players. I think Anaheim has been trying to get better, be getting better to make it to the playoffs, and just have been failing the last few years. So I don't think they expected to be just a playoff team right off the bat here now, but first half of the season so far, they are clearly not a playoff team, are struggling in both ends of the ice, and I don't see much signs of improvement for this team or any bright spots to look into the future. And then finally, we have the Calgary Flames. I'm going to give them a B so far for their effort for this season. Now, that might be a little harsh, considering that a lot of people projected the Flames to be one of the worst teams in the league, one of the bottom feeding clubs at the beginning of the season, and yet here they are halfway through the regular season. They're fighting for a wild card spot. But the problem with that is that this team needs to choose a direction, because they have been part of the mushy middle of the standings for so long. Now, they have had ups and downs over the last few years, but I believe that they either need to start picking things up for the second half and get themselves solidly into a wild card spot so they can see what they can do in the playoffs, or things need to go wrong for them so that they can end up with at least a top 10 draft pick at the end of the year. So there you have it, guys. Those are my grades for the Pacific Division so far this season, halfway into the year. If you want to see the other parts of the video, they're on my channel. And I did the Metro, the Atlantic, and the Central Division earlier. If you are seeing this for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give me a like, guys. Thank you so much. It's much appreciated. Have a good day.